It was supposed to be an ordinary trip, a simple voyage across the Philippines. Families, workers, and holiday travelers boarded the MV Dona Paz, unaware that in a few hours, their journey would turn into the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in history. But how did a routine trip become a nightmare of fire and chaos? On December 20, 1987, the overcrowded MV Dona Paz sailed from Leyte to Manila, carrying far more passengers than its official capacity. The night was calm, and people settled in for the journey. But beyond the horizon, a deadly collision was about to unfold. An oil tanker, MT Vector, carrying 1 million liters of gasoline, was heading straight toward them. At 10:30 p.m., disaster struck. In the vast darkness of the Tablas Strait, the MV Dona Paz and MT Vector collided with terrifying force. The impact was so violent that the oil tanker's hull ruptured, sending thousands of gallons of gasoline and diesel spilling into the sea. Within seconds, a fireball erupted, engulfing both ships in unimaginable flames. Passengers on the Dona Paz, many asleep, woke up to a living nightmare: thick black smoke, searing heat, and chaos. There was no time for distress signals, no time for evacuation plans. The sea itself caught fire, trapping passengers between flames and water. For those who managed to escape the burning ship, survival was still nearly impossible. The sea, instead of being their savior, had become a floating inferno. Burning fuel spread across the water, creating a blazing trap that killed anyone who touched it. There were no lifeboats, no rescue teams in sight. Survivors had to cling to debris, struggling to stay afloat while the cries of drowning victims filled the air. Out of over 4,000 passengers, only 24 would live to tell the story. When rescue teams finally arrived, they found nothing but charred debris, bodies, and a handful of survivors. The investigation revealed shocking truths. The MV Dona Paz was operating with NO working radio, NO proper crew training, and was severely overcrowded. Meanwhile, the MT Vector was operating illegally, with an unqualified crew and expired safety permits. But despite the overwhelming evidence of negligence, no one was held accountable. Despite its unimaginable death toll, the MV Dona Paz disaster never received the global attention it deserved. Unlike the Titanic, which became a legend in history, this tragedy was buried under bureaucracy, negligence, and silence. The Philippine government downplayed the event, and Sulpicio Lines, the ferry operator, continued business with barely any consequences. The lack of proper documentation, thousands of passengers traveling without tickets, made the official death count a shameful mystery. The Titanic had wealthy passengers and dramatic stories of survival, but the victims of Dona Paz were mostly poor, nameless faces whose suffering was forgotten by history. The MV Dona Paz tragedy remains the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in history. It exposed severe failures, overcrowding, poor safety measures, and negligence. Though time has passed, the lessons remain clear. Maritime safety has improved, but could such a disaster happen again? The memories of that night serve as a haunting reminder of what happens when profit is placed over human lives. Thanks for watching, and like, share, subscribe my channel.